Hey, welcome again. Um, Back here with New Beginnings 222, and it's time to progress on and talk more about my discovery. And if you watched my first video, you'll see that I was led into this by angelic um, drawing through numerical numbers. I witnessed uh, over and over again on a daily basis, which eventually led to me seeking spiritual higher ground and understanding that it was actually angels that were reaching out to me and still are reaching out to me to lead me to higher consciousness and an awareness that the universe is uh, very much interested in our destiny as humans, and that we have entered in on this physical plane uh, as soul beings, but entered into a physical body so that we can show forth the creativity of God, if you will, in the universe, the intelligent source, the energy source of all of us, which we are all interconnected, all intertwined. We are all not just connected to in a um, personal way, but in very much the same form. I could put it to you like this: the ocean is made up of a body of water, a huge body of water. The ocean is very large and vast. If you took each drop of water from the ocean, that would formulate or make up a picture of how we, in a sense, are um, part of the same form. So if you took all of the drops of the ocean, and I am a drop, and you're a drop, and everyone around us is a drop, then collectively we are the ocean. But each one of us as a drop is not the ocean. Does that make sense? So we are all interconnected and interwoven together as one, and the intelligent source, the intelligent mind, is the oneness of us all, and we're all a small portion of that. So therefore, we should respect and honor each other as equals and as part of that God force. And so, on my physical plane, I have come to the age of 53 years old, have sought out religion, have sought out spirituality, have lived a full life, have procreated, had 4 children, uh, and lived very much, I would say, a normal and average life in the cycle of life that we live in now in this day and age. So when I said before in the previous video that the beginning of my journey was when I began to see the numerical numbers, and 222 being the beginning path of that, one of the first things that it led me to was my physical journey, my physical healing, which I didn't really recognize per se. It didn't play out in story form like I'm putting it in story form now. I was just very encouraged and very uplifted and very happy that the universe reached out to me as an individual and showed me that one of the avenues to begin to work on was my physical body. So I wanted to touch on that part about our physical being. As physical beings on this physical plane, we have a body or a house that we live in as a soul, and our spirit, it's our dwelling place. And so if we recognize that as a sort of temple or a place where our body harbors our spirituality and our soul man, then it only makes sense that we should take care of that. And in order to take care of that, we have to be aware of uh, what is the makeup of our body, the minerals that make up our body, and we also have to be aware of what we're putting into our body. And so everything that we put into our body, every substance, every herb, every fruit, every whatever it is that you eat in your diet, should in some way enhance the body and not take away from or hinder the body's growth. If you'll notice, a lot of our eating, a lot of our diet, and particularly in this country and probably more so across the world now, because the Western diet has pretty much permeated the entire planet, because money and wealth uh, has come up out of food source, and it's cheaper to make junk food, food with no substance, mass produce it and feed it to the people. And it's also much more um, lucrative to take those substances and make them in a form that would create cravings within our bodies, so that we would crave the very things that we're eating. Therefore, when you start talking about eating fruits and vegetables, our body doesn't really crave that if you have been on the journey and the path of eating processed food, because your body will begin to reject those types of foods due to the fact that they crave the substances that are within these man-made processed foods. Salt, sugar, caffeine, those types of things are what our body becomes addicted to. And so we really are food addicts. We become food junkies. And the dealer being the corporations that consistently make this kind of substance and sell it to us so that we can inject it into our bodies, really holds us at bay and keeps us captured, so that the foods that we eat, we're pretty much drawn to spend our money to eat those foods. Think about it yourself. You never sit down and crave eating an apple. When Friday night comes, let's say, and it's time to think about something that you want to ingest that would really make you feel good, like you really deserve some sort of treat. You don't sit down with a bag of carrots and celery and make yourself a salad. You think of pizza, you think of potato chips, you think of candy, you think of pop, you think of sodas, you think of ice cream, you think of a million other things that would cater to your taste buds and cater to your addiction. And so we subtly get hooked on these things, and because we don't live in full consciousness of what we do, how we eat, and in our daily diets, we just gravitate toward these things that are mass produced for our pleasure. So when you begin to look at it on that reality, that plane, you begin to see it in a different light. You can see yourself as the drug addict, sitting down in the corner, slumped down. You're sick, you're tired, you're lacking energy, you're lacking happiness, you're lacking pleasure, you're lacking fulfillment, and all of these things derive from your physical body feeling that way because of the activity going on in your body, trying to produce something good out of junk. And so you have a source, which is your dealer. And you go to your dealer at the supermarket. You know, if you could picture standing on the corner with the needle in hand, ready to inject the venom. And so we literally live according to the way of the drug addict. And I know that may be hard to swallow. That might even be something that you want to reject or not feel or see yourself that way, but you have to look at things realistically and look at them in a way that perhaps will make you think on a new wavelength. As you remember possibly in my first video, you'll remember that I said that I do not like bullshit. I like things to be straight up, and I like them to be said and pervade and conveyed in a way that makes us think logically and brings us to the truth. So I try not to sugarcoat things and make things frosty, and I'm not trying to make videos here that are expressly going to reach out to a crowd to get people excited so that they'll watch my videos and I can make money off of it. I would like to think that I could make a living doing educational films and writing books and those types of things, and I feel that is part of my journey, and I feel that will be my destiny, because I believe that will be a fulfillment, but that's not my sole purpose. Part of the origination of my New Beginnings was to find my sole purpose, my life mission. And in the beginning of that, money came up in a big way. And I began to see and hope for and desire manifestations of money and success. And we're kind of geared that way in this society. But as time went on, and I really did dig deep into that, but as time went on in this journey, more and more I began to realize that my life mission, the byproduct of my life mission will be money and success, but it'll be a byproduct, and it actually is an energy source to tap into. That money is energy, and I'm not going to get into all that right now. That's a whole other subject which we will dive into, but what I wanted to talk about was our physical being. And so on my first video, I mentioned that I had watched a video on Netflix, and it was called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. I advise or would ask any of you to sit down and at least give that a look and see the journey that Joe Cross was on, which is very fascinating. Very wealthy man himself and a very successful man himself, but found himself in his later years to be overweight, sick feeling miserable, depressed, tired, lethargic, and finding no other reason for that to be so other than he had a terrible diet and terrible eating habits, just as we all do. So he went on this mission to go about the states and talk to people while he was juicing and eating whole foods, and he only juiced straight for 60 days by taking greens and fruits and vegetables and mixing them, or breaking them down into juice form with a juicer and drinking that for 60 days, I believe it was. And so through that, he healed his body, he gained energy, he gained renewed strength, vitality, his thinking cleared. And it was a very, very, very inspirational journey, which inspired me on to my journey of health and happiness and energy and good feeling. And like I said, that was the beginning of miracles for me. And I think that you're going to find that if you get on a soul-searching journey, if you get on a mission to better your life, you're going to find that the first place that you want to start is in your physical body. And the reason is because your physical body talks to you. And we respond very much to our physical feelings. And feelings come up out of the body. Okay, so we are very connected with our feelings, and the way our body feels pretty much tells us how our day is going to go and how our temperament is going to be, and how our feeling and our outlook on life, and how we pursue things, and how we succeed, and how we view life. Okay, there is no plateau, there is no monetary level that you have to be on to start eating right. And it's not like, people of wealth eat good and people who are poor eat bad. It's not true. There's people who live very menial lifestyles, who eat very good, who very much take care of their body, who understand about eating greens and eating vegetables, and who understand the nutrient value and how that uh, goes together with their body. Uh, there's generations that were raised up that way, and so there's no right or wrong uh, in it, and there's no economic level that you have to be on to start or not start. You just start. I will say that when you do start, you want to be careful and cautious, not to put yourself on some type of a budget when it comes to eating right. I'll guarantee you that if you begin to cut out the garbage out of your life, you begin to cut out the soda, the pizza, the eating out, the garbage food, the potato chips, the Monster energy drinks, the Red Bulls, and all of the things that you take in on a daily basis, and you begin to dry out from those things and cut those out of your budget, that you will very much be able to afford to eat fully organic foods, any foods that you want. Even though you go and you'll look at a package of blueberries and it might be $3.59 for a small package of it, you will be able to afford these things because you'll have cut out all of the other fluff and stuff out of your diet. Now, when you have a family, and I understand what it's like to have a family, and you want to have times where you want to eat for pleasure, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a pizza once in a while. You just take it to whatever extreme you want to. For me, my children are raised up, and it's me and my wife here, and my daughter, and we all agreed in this household that we were all going to eat a healthy diet anyway. So then you want to be aware then of how all of this is going to play together in your physical makeup and how it's going to transform your spirituality, if you will. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we have what they call chakras in our energy system, which makes up our body. And in our body, there are 7 chakras, and each chakra is color related. And there's a correlation between the foods that we eat and the chakras themselves, and how our body, both physically and spiritually, responds to actual food products and the source and vibration of energy that we get out of foods. That's a very deep subject and something that we will tap into and talk about. But the point that I want to make here is that it's very serious once you make yourself consciously aware, the abilities that you have and where your feelings and energies come from, and your successes and failures come from, in alignment to your body and your chakras. Your physical body is a reflection of your subconscious thinking. Okay, so our thought life is made up of consciousness and subconscious awareness. Okay, only about 10% of our actual thought life is in conscious thought. Even somewhere down, with some people, down to about 2% of our thought life is actually conscious thought. The rest of our thought life derives from our subconscious play-by-play, replay thinking. It's all autopilot. And so our whole life experience pretty much breaks down to our thought life in our subconscious being. But the body itself reflects our subconscious thinking and feelings. So when we look at one another and we don't see a lot of vibrancy and a lot of vitality and a lot of energy and hope and positive attitude and smiles and happiness and talking about positive things, then we know that the subconscious cycle is on the negative side of the swing, and we are living in negativity. And you will find, once you become aware and start living more consciously in the now, as they would say, that you will listen to the vocabulary and the tone and the way that people talk and the things that people talk about, and you'll be kind of astounded at how we talk and how we communicate with one another. We very regularly talk on a negative plane, and it's very full of complaints and negativity and downplaying everything and talking about how bad things are, and we talk how bad the weather is, and have you heard about so and so and what they did, and you hear on the news and another war, and we fight about politics, and we argue against religion. We very, very rarely talk on a positive, happy plane. And you'll also be aware that you don't see a lot of people walking around with a smile on their face, and you don't see a lot of people walking around with a glow about them or a happiness tone in their eyes. It doesn't reflect out of them that there is happiness and enjoyment and joy coming out of them. When you do see that in a person, you recognize it right away. And when you're on a really negative plane, it's irritating to see a person that's so bubbly and fluffy and light and happy and joyful. It almost grinds your gears and upsets you and pisses you off and makes you not like that person. And and then the name calling and the making fun and the little gestures, mimicking, will come out and downplay the enjoyment and the joy that the other person or people are experiencing. There's also people that fake that and play that, and you can also recognize that when you see it, the falsity of it. You can see that in salespeople and people who are putting on a show and acting, and if you saw them off scene as though they were off camera, out of the eye in their home, they probably don't act like that at all. They probably, bitch and complain and cuss and whine and all of that just as much as anybody else, but because their goals in life put them on a monetary incline and they're looking for success and wealth, they'll put on the show and act like they're happy and energetic, and and you can tell it's kind of a cardboard looking thing. It's almost seems unreal. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a real inner happiness and a real contentment and a real joy and a real self-fulfillment. And you can gain that, but you have to begin to live in consciousness. You have to be more aware of what's going on and less living your life in that subconscious plane where you're just on autopilot. Because when our physical balance is off and our feelings come up out of that, and they are non-energetic and they are depleting and they are aching and painful and tired and weary and bored and unenlightened, then it emulates out of us. You'll also look around and you'll see, once you become consciously aware, and I'm not talking about judging or looking down on people, I'm talking about just looking at people. And you will see how vastly out of shape we are. And a lot of diets and a lot of programs and many workout programs and things like that are available, and it's like a huge market for that. Billions of dollars spent on that, on people trying to better themselves, make themselves feel better, but they find that they cannot find contentment in that, and they cannot find answers in that, and maybe they last for a while and then they go away. And the truth is because they're not eating natural still. When you begin to eat natural, and when you begin to eat and take in your energy source that comes directly from Mother Earth and is set in order the way it should be, and you begin to find the connections between your physical body and the attachments to these things, and you begin to ingest them and take them in, your body will then come into sync and harmony, and you'll become into flow. And when you come into that sort of harmony with the existence of the universe and food source, and get on the right vibrational plane, it'll naturally take effect. Your skin will naturally begin to glow. Your skin tone will naturally begin to take the correct and proper tone. Your vision will get better. Your hearing will get better. Your aches and pains will subside uh, on a progressional plane. You'll begin to feel better. I'm not saying you'll never feel any pain or never feel any tiredness or any of those things, but those things won't be on a continual basis. They'll be on in a way where you'll be able to recognize that when you're feeling a certain way, that you need to, up the game a little bit. You need to eat, certain foods that'll make you feel different ways. And it's a really a quite a journey to get on and experience and watch your transformation of your life, and watch your energy level rise up, and watch how people begin to respond to you, because they'll notice and they'll see the physical change in you. But the best part of that is not just the physical change, it's the feeling of the inside. It's the weight that gets lifted off of you. It's the feeling of hope and the heightened expectation, and a lot of the misery goes away, and the worry, because you're no longer on that cycle of depleting and destroying your body. Your body is now taking in vital nutrients and life will begin to rise up and spring up out of you, and you'll naturally come to a place of joy, and you won't have to work as hard to work out the thought processes in your mind of whether you're happy or sad or angry or aggravated or frustrated or whatever. Those things will begin to naturally come into play, where you can live out a more peaceful and joyful life and existence, because there's harmony with your physical body working along with your spiritual self and your soul self, and the three of those can come together and begin to meld. Okay? It'll also help you financially. And what I mean by that is your creativity, because your energy level raises up, your eyes and ears and sensitivity opens up to your creative self, and you begin to gain more hope for the future, just because your feelings and your vibrations and your harmony is in sync. So then your mind starts to come in and work off of that, and you begin to think in a different light, and it's easier then to gravitate away from grumbling and complaining and hating every day, and being mad because it's sunny and being upset because it's raining, and all of those things, because you're out of sync with the earth, with Mother Earth, and you're out of sync with source energy when you are eating death. So I encourage you, on your beginning of your path and your beginning of your journey, the very first step that I feel that you want to take, like I did, is getting that physical temple reconstructed. Do some remodeling on the house so that the inner you can enjoy living in the outer you. And you're going to enjoy the feeling of it, and you're going to enjoy more looking in the mirror, and you're going to begin to see a more beautiful you, and a more healthy you, and a more happy you. And that will begin your journey of spirituality and soul search. So I encourage you to watch things, and particularly Fat, Sick, Nearly Dead was a great one for me, but whatever floats your boat. Go out there and begin to look and read. There's so much stuff on the internet. There, Google. There's so much out there. It's so awesome to live in the age of technology, where we don't have to run to a library. We don't have to wait until the library opens. We don't have to wait for anything. Everything that we need is right at our fingertips. through our technology that we have. So tap into that and use it for a good source and a good reason, and you will change.